G20 Johannesburg 2025, South Africa steers a new course without Trump. The 2025 G20 Summit in Johannesburg marked a pivotal moment for global diplomacy, not just because it was the first ever G20 summit held on African soil, but because it signaled a subtle but meaningful shift in the balance of power among middle-income states. As Daily Maverick's analysis puts it, South Africa's leadership during this summit shows a bloc of middle powers stepping up to chart a path beyond US dominance, especially under a disruptive Trump-era foreign policy. A G20 without Trump, symbolism and substance. One of the most striking features of the Johannesburg summit was the absence of the United States at the leader level. Former President Donald Trump declined to send a senior delegation, prompting accusations of a boycott rooted in his claims about white Afrikaner persecution in South Africa, charges that Pretoria rejected. His decision not to send a full US delegation was more than symbolic. It exposed deeper tensions between Washington and Pretoria, particularly around the summit's agenda of solidarity, equality, and sustainability, which emphasized development, debt relief, climate action, and reform of global financial institutions. Debt relief, climate action, and reform of global financial institutions. A declaration without the US, and a message to the world. Despite US opposition, the G20 leaders in Johannesburg adopted a 122-point declaration on the first day of the summit, a break from traditional practice, where communiques usually come at the end. The declaration addressed key issues: climate crisis, debt sustainability, global inequality, and the need for more inclusive global governance. South African President Cyril Ramaphosa framed this as a renewed commitment to multilateral cooperation, arguing that shared goals among many nations must take precedence over the objections or absence of any single power. Middle powers like Brazil, Indonesia, and Mexico, traditionally seen as influential but not dominant, signaled that they are ready to assume a more active role in global governance. Daily Maverick suggests this could be a turning point, where these nations don't just follow but help lead the gavel that wasn't handed over. A diplomatic spat capped the summit. At the closing ceremony, Ramaphosa banged the gavel, but no senior US leader was present to receive it. South Africa rejected the idea of handing over the presidency to a junior US diplomat, calling it a breach of protocol and a slight to the country's presidency. The White House, meanwhile, claimed Pretoria was undermining the founding principles of the G20. A new multilateralism, or just a different status quo? Analysts quoted in the Daily Maverick piece argue that what unfolded was not simply the continuation of the old G20 order but a genuine rebalancing. Middle powers are not just demanding a seat at the table, they appear to be reshaping the table itself. By pushing through a declaration without US agreement, they demonstrated that collective action can survive, even thrive, without the top dog. South Africa's presidency also brought sharper focus to Global South priorities. Issues like debt relief, climate finance for African and developing nations, and reform of multilateral institutions were front and center. The government believes that the declaration it secured will not just be symbolic. Its Foreign Affairs Department has expressed confidence that it will be defended going forward. Risks and critics. That said, not everyone is convinced the summit was an unqualified success. Some critics warn that a G20 without full US engagement weakens the forum's effectiveness. Others argue that, though the declaration is ambitious, many of its commitments are non-binding, raising questions about follow-through.